Caitlin and welcome to my channel. For the last couple of weeks, I have been stuck reading one book. And I know that for some people, maybe taking 2 weeks to read a book is like a completely normal timeline. But even for me, a relatively slow reader, 2 weeks is a lot, especially when it's a romance book with just a little over 300 pages. And that's generally not how long I take to read books. You know, it can be a little disheartening or disencouraging to take that long. Sometimes it gets to a point where I want so desperately to finish the book, but I don't want to pick up the book because I feel like I'm just never getting to the end of it, and it can just be a lot sometimes. So to help move myself along, I have decided that I am going to be making a YouTube video of trying to read a bunch of my fall TBR to help myself get out of this little reading slump that I'm in. So like I said, I have been reading one specific book for the past 2 weeks, and that book is none other than The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore. I think I just went in with really high expectations for this book because I always hear everyone talk about how great it is and how perfect it is for the fall vibe to get you in the fall mood. And I don't want to be dramatic, but I kind of hate it. I honestly really don't like it. There are concepts in this book that make it good, but I think just the execution is not great. It's not my favorite, unfortunately. And I don't want to give too much away, obviously, if you haven't read this book already, but these two characters, or one of them specifically, is always talking about how he wants to just tell her how he feels, and he just wants to be honest with her. And then every time he's given the chance to do that, he doesn't. And then he deflects and makes it look like it's her fault. It's gotten to a point where I am not like, oh, he's just nervous. It's like, okay, why can you not properly communicate your feelings when you are a grown man? It's just infuriating. And that's kind of what's happening in short in this book. And there are other things in this book that kind of make me upset as well, but I, again, won't get into much more detail because I don't want to spoil everything. But all that to say, I am actually relatively close to the end of this book. I think I'm actually 85% done on Goodreads, or at least according to Goodreads. I am so close to finishing this god-awful book, but I need to actually commit to finishing it. But now that I am officially done yapping about this book, I am going to go ahead and get into reading these last couple of chapters so that I can put it away forever. And I'm being dramatic. I'm sure that this author has other books that are really great. I just think I went in with too high of expectations for this book that just weren't met at all. And that's okay. You know, at the end of the day, it's not that serious. A lot of people do like this book, and that's awesome for them. I am just not one of those people. But again, all of that being said, now I am going to actually finish reading this book. I'm going to give it a rating on Goodreads, and then I'm going to pick out my next fall book. All right, I have finally finished The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Lori Gilmore, and it ended up being okay. The ending was kind of predictable, you know, the couple got together in the end. That wasn't altogether shocking. But I'm glad that they did, because if I had gone through all of that just for them to not end up together, I would have been really upset and honestly would have given it 1 star. I will say though, when I'm reading a book and I'm in the middle of reading it and I'm like, oh, I cannot give this a high review, I cannot give this more than 3 stars. If the ending is happy, I will almost kind of get amnesia and forget how much I disliked everything leading up to the end. And I'll admit it, it's kind of already happening with this book, but I refuse to let that happen this time because I know how I felt. I can literally go back and watch footage of me talking about how I felt. So I'm really not sure what exactly this is going to be rated yet on Goodreads, but if you would like to follow me over there, then I'm sure you will see a review, a maybe very colorful review of this book eventually. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, then you will eventually see a fall reading recap. And this will be kind of at the beginning of that reading recap because this is only the second book that I've read this fall season. And the fact that I've only read 2 books this fall is part of the reason that I'm doing this video, because I know that I love to read. I really do. But sometimes I read a certain book or I get really consumed in other forms of media and I kind of forget that I like reading. And sometimes I just need a little push to remind myself. And sometimes that push comes in the form of forcing myself to read. And that's what this video basically is. So yeah. But I have already picked out my next book that I am going to be reading. It is another fall theme and it kind of has a similar title, but I'm pretty sure it's a YA and it's written by a different author, so hopefully it will have a bit of a different vibe. It is called Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice by Katie Sikatali Kook. I did not say that right and I am so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I have always been really bad at pronouncing names and that's just the truth. Literally, this book that I just finished, I've been calling the main character Jeannie or something. Maybe. I've been calling her Jenny because I'm like, Jeannie? That doesn't make sense. That's a weird name. Jeannie. And I'm probably just pronouncing it wrong. So I've just been calling her Jenny, which I know is definitely wrong. But that to say, I'm reading this book next. I actually picked this out last year, probably around the fall season, maybe after, and I have been very excited to read her. Like I said, I'm pretty sure this is a YA novel simply because the text is a lot bigger and because this book is just a little bit over 300 pages. I'm pretty sure it's meant for some younger ages, and that's totally okay. You know, sometimes reading below my skill level is exactly what I need to get out of a reading slump. So hopefully this will help with that. I am actually going to go ahead and take a break though, because I do need to eat some dinner, but I think I do want to at least start it tonight. And then I will definitely be using a big portion of my day tomorrow to try and read as much of this as physically possible. But I actually don't even know what I'm doing for dinner. So I'm gonna go figure that out, and I guess the next time I see you will be when I pick up this book. All right, so it is now a couple of hours later, and I have eaten my dinner. I am ready for bed. I am in bed, and I am going to go ahead and read a little bit of this book just before I go to sleep. I am going to read at least 2 chapters in this book before I go to sleep tonight. And it's gonna be great, and I'm so excited, and I love fall, and I love fall-themed things, and I love fall-themed books. So I think this is gonna be great. I think, quite frankly, that there's nothing that can be worse than what I just read. That was really mean. That was really mean and probably overdramatic. Maybe I'll feel differently once I read this book, you know? Maybe I'll feel differently in a couple of days. I doubt it, but maybe. The longer I stay up, the more tired I'm gonna be tomorrow, and we don't want that. So I am gonna go ahead and cut off this clip before I start rambling. I probably won't update you again tonight, but I will see you tomorrow. So yeah, see you then. So it is now the next day, and I did end up reading 2 whole chapters of this book, Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice, last night. And from those 2 chapters alone, I could already tell that I was gonna like this book a little bit more than the last one, which granted wouldn't have been very hard considering how much I didn't like the last one, but nonetheless, I ended up reading just 2 chapters of it last night, and then this morning before I went into work, I read 8 more chapters. I'm already really liking this one. I think it is a very like basic and probably honestly overused storyline of like, oh, this guy from my school is so hot, but oh no, he's the like son of this company that my parents are like fighting with, like that kind of vibe. And I think I've actually seen like that exact storyline in like 3 other fall books that I have on my TBR for this fall, which makes me a little nervous that I will eventually like get tired of it or not want to read those books. But at the end of the day, if I don't want to read those books, then I just won't, because it's not that serious. I'll also say that this book, while it does feel honestly a little more immature than even the last book, it feels like it makes sense to a degree, because the main character in this book is a 16-year-old teenage girl. So of course she's going to have big emotions and maybe not know how to communicate well, or maybe be a little awkward and embarrassing or easily embarrassed or like that kind of thing. Whereas in the last book, which I ended up giving 2 stars on Goodreads, by the way, was a grown adult. Had like what the world would refer to as a big girl job, and then moved out of corporate America, which is great for her, by the way, but then became a like coffee shop manager and also lost every mature bone in her body. Am I insane for saying that? Maybe. Am I being overdramatic again? Probably. I will say that even though it's more understandable that this character, or that this female character, is immature or not very emotionally intelligent, that doesn't make it less frustrating. I feel like in a lot of seasonal books, people tend to make their female characters kind of dumb. And that might be an insane thing for me to say. Honestly, that might be a little bit of a hot take, or maybe just something that we're not supposed to say. But I feel like I've read a lot of like Christmas themed books where the female main character is also maybe not very emotionally intelligent, or like is a little immature. But I feel like people can get away with it more in those seasonal books, even if it's like the fall season, but specifically the Christmas season, because so many people associate Christmas season with like Hallmark movies, where the plot line is very predictable. Maybe the acting is a little bad, but you always know what the end of the story is going to look like. And I feel like that also bleeds into autumn, since it is such a like thing with women specifically loving autumn, that they just assume that they can like dumb down characters and make them a little stupid, but it's all good because the vibes are there, and like the storyline might be predictable, but it's what we want in the end. And it's just, I'm kind of tired of it. I think it's absolutely ridiculous, quite frankly, because you know that if any kind of corporation, any kind of author, whatever, did that sort of thing with like a male-centered like genre or like movie franchise, people would be furious. And there would absolutely be like backlash from that. But I think because people assume that women are dumb and stupid, they write their characters for like their favorite seasons as stupid. And they're like, oh, but the Christmas lights, but the pumpkin spice lattes. I'm over it. I'm over it. And I'm sorry if that's too woke. I'm sorry if this is like a whole tangent that you absolutely weren't expecting when you clicked on this video, but I'm honestly tired. I'm truthfully over it. That being said, I will be continuing to read this book, and I will be continuing to divulge in my fall reads, because at the end of the day, I love fall, and I'm going to support specifically female authors, even if they write characters that are absolutely infuriating. Anyway, that was a lot of word vomit. But basically, I'm gonna sit here for a while, and I'm gonna read some more chapters in this book. I'm currently a little over a quarter of the way done with this book, but I don't think I'm gonna necessarily record that because I think I want to pick up the vlog when I've actually finished this book, because I do believe that I can finish it tonight. I might even believe that I can start another book tonight. But since I'm not going to do like a little montage, let's see what time it is for me to start, and then I can let you know what time it ends up being when I finish. Okay, so it is currently 2:41. I am going to start reading right now, and then I will let you know what the time is once I have officially finished this book. Okay, so I have officially finished reading Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice. You could probably kind of deduce from like the last clip that I have very strong feelings about this book, as I did about the book before it. But I did end up liking this one a lot more than the Pumpkin Spice Cafe. So I do think this will be getting a slightly higher rating on Goodreads. I ended up wrapping up my reading around 5:17, which means that it took me about 2.5 hours-ish to finish reading this book, and I was only a quarter of the way through, which I would say is pretty impressive. It's been a while since I've read a book in like 24 hours-ish, so it feels kind of nice to remember that I can, especially after taking 2 weeks to read a book. But with that being said, since I am officially done with this book, it is going to go back on my seasonal shelf, and I am now going to pick out my next read for this video. I do actually have the next book in Lori Gilmore's like Dream Harbor series, but I feel like it's a little too soon to jump back into her writing, especially when I had such strong feelings about it last time. So I don't think I'm going to pick that one. I think the two that I'm trying to decide between right now are Falling Like the Leaves by Misty Wilson and If It Makes You Happy by Julie Olivia. I think both have a lot of potential. They're both very different from the vibe that I just read. I don't think this book is necessarily young adult because, oh wait, no, it is, because it's this character's senior year, and this one is more adult themed. However, it is literally it is 500 pages. Hey, so literally that's crazy. Not that crazy. Realistically, that shouldn't be insane to me because I'm 21 years old, but it is a little bit, so that's okay. But this book is like a little under 350. Picking like my next book is always the hardest part of finishing a book, is like figuring out what I'm gonna read next. I think I'm gonna go with Falling Like the Leaves mostly because it is shorter, but also because I'm kind of hoping, solely based off like the back, that I'm going to kind of like this female main character maybe a little bit more than I would this one. So yeah, we are going to be reading Falling Like the Leaves by Misty Wilson next. I am not going to jump into this book immediately though, because I need to make some dinner, or else my stomach will literally start rioting against my body, and we don't want that. I'm also probably going to take a little bit of time to write a review for Pumpkin Spice and Everything Nice on Goodreads, because I haven't done that yet, and I'm not quite sure. I mean, I'm pretty sure I know what I'm going to rate that book, but I don't know for sure. I have to like really think about it. And I might like also take a bit of a brain break and maybe watch some YouTube or some TV while I have dinner. Just because sometimes reading a lot in a row can burn me out more, which is ironic, especially when I'm doing this video where I'm doing nothing but reading to get out of my reading slump. But I'm gonna keep rolling with it because I love reading and I need to get out of this reading slump. It's actually ridiculous. We could argue probably that I'm officially out of my reading slump because of how quickly I read a book, but truthfully, I think getting out of a reading slump more as like really, truly, deeply enjoying a book over just like reading a bunch of books. So that's kind of the feeling that I'm searching for, and maybe I will end up getting it with this book. Only time will tell. But I am actually going to go ahead and end this clip here because seriously, if I don't get some food, I'm gonna get a headache. So I will see you after I have eaten some dinner and I am ready to officially start my next book. All right, so it is now a little bit later. It is actually now 8 p.m., which is, you know, significantly later than the last clip that you saw me in. And that is because, like I said, I got some dinner and then I did end up watching some YouTube, and then I did end up going down a YouTube rabbit hole. It is now, like I said, about 8 o'clock at night, and I am going to finally get back into reading this book. I say get back into, I haven't actually started it yet, but I'm going to get back into reading, and the book I'm going to read is this one. Actually, part of the reason that I am reading my book this late at night, and if you're thinking, Katelyn, 8 p.m. is not that late at night, I would say you're right, but it's late for me. The reason that I'm reading it this late is because I'm actually not going to be going to sleep for a while because my parents are currently on a plane and it will be landing around like 10-ish. And I am going to be the one that picks them up from the airport. So I need to stay awake until 10-ish so that I can drive to the airport, pick them up, and then come home. That being said, I have about an hour and a half to read this book. Very excited to start it. A little theme that I didn't even realize was a theme in autumn books is that 9 times out of 10, at least one of the characters will be a barista. And I think that's amazing. As much as I've been like kind of bashing the autumn genre or like seasonal genres, there are some things about them that I really do like and that I like to see repeated in books. And I think baristas are definitely one of those things. But the more I stay here and talk about the books, the less time that I have to actually start my book. So I'm going to go ahead and dive into this, and hopefully I love it more than the last couple of books. All right, it is now about like 10 minutes before I have to head out to pick up my parents from the airport, but I'm at the beginning of chapter 8 and I'm on like page 80 and I am loving this book so much so far. so much. I love when a spoiled brat character kind of gets a reality flip and has to navigate small town life after living in the big city and like having all these expensive things that they always do. I'm a sucker for that. And that's what's happening here. And the male main character is the barista in this book, and I'm kind of eating that up. Like, he's only actually been a barista in like one scene, but I digress. I am, according to Goodreads, 22% into this book, and I am cautiously optimistic. Like I said, I'm about to head out to pick up my parents, so I probably won't be reading any more tonight, but I do think that I am going to read probably a little bit before work tomorrow, and then I'm thinking I might want to like go to a little cafe after work and do some reading there, because I feel like going to a cute little cafe, reading a cute little fall book that I actually like and am actually like interested in continuing is exactly what I need in my life right now. Anyway, I am going to head out and wrap up my reading for the night, but I will see you tomorrow. Okay, so it is now the next day, and I am about to go into the little cafe that I am going to be reading at for a little bit, but I actually kind of wanted to clarify, I'm not really going to be reading the entire time that I'm here. I'm actually going to be meeting up with a friend, and we're gonna be watching a couple of episodes of Arcane. I've seen the entire show, but she's never seen it before, and we've only watched the first 3 episodes so far, and she is stressed. But I'm really excited because I know that it's gonna get so good and she's gonna get so invested and then gonna get so heartbroken. So that's obviously gonna be so much fun to watch. So we are going to watch, I think, at least like 2 episodes of Arcane, but I will be reading a little bit before she gets here because she's running a little bit late, and then I think I'm going to stay for a little while after she leaves as well and read then. But yeah, I'm just super excited. I'm probably gonna get a matcha because the matcha from here is like literally the best matcha I've had in my entire life. I am very excited. I've been looking forward to this all day. Without further ado, I'm going to head in now and hopefully get me and my friend Evie a seat, a nice little table to sit at, and I'll probably get a couple of clips for a little montage, or at least I will try to, but I will see you once I am done hanging out at this cafe. Alright, so it is now much later and I am currently heading home from being at the coffee shop for, I think, almost 4 hours, which is honestly kind of insane. Me and Evie ended up only watching 2 episodes of Arcane, and she's still loving it, and I'm still loving like watching her watch it. And there are so many things that I'm like picking up on now that I'm re-watching it for actually the first time, I'm pretty sure. But I ended up getting to the coffee shop around like 1 p.m.-ish, and Evie got there about 30 minutes later, I want to say, and she left at like 3-ish. Probably. So I had like an hour and a half to read, which was so nice and so fun. I love reading in a coffee shop. Like literally there is nothing more fun than reading in a coffee shop. But I ended up getting a good chunk of my book read. I am, according to Goodreads, 59% done with my book now, which is literally insane. I'm just really happy that I ended up picking this book to read because it is so good. And if it ends like I'm kind of predicting that it'll end, then I am going to absolutely love it, and it is going to skyrocket to the top of my like fall reading list because all of the other fall books that I've read so far have been bad. But that's my personal opinion, and if you don't agree with that opinion about those books, then that's totally okay. By the way, just wanted to throw that out there, that like, just because I don't like a book doesn't mean that you liking it makes you weird, or like makes my opinion wrong, or like me loving the book that I'm reading right now, but you reading it and hating it doesn't mean that I'm wrong or that your opinion is wrong, because it's all subjective. I don't know how much more I am going to actually read of this book today. I might do a little more reading before I go to bed tonight, and I'll probably end up reading a little more before I go into work tomorrow. But I'm really wanting to finish this book for this video so I can give like a full honest review on it. So hopefully I will be able to find some time throughout the rest of this week to read the rest of my book. And like I said, I don't really know when I will see you next, but I don't really have much else to say, so I'm going to go ahead and focus on driving instead of trying to vlog and drive, and I will see you in the next clip. All right, so I just got home from work a little bit ago, and I am officially ready to jump back into my book. I was able to read one more chapter this morning before work, but that will not have really like affected where I was probably on Goodreads. So just a little bit under 60%. It is currently 1 o'clock, and I am going to be hanging out with my friend Nevaeh in a little bit. And I think we are actually planning on going to another cafe and reading for a while, because that's not really something that we've done in a bit. I'm going to be picking her up around like 2:30, so I'll leave a little bit before that. So it gives me a little under an hour and a half to read this book, but I'm also kind of wanting to eat some food before I head out. So maybe I will end up reading a little more like slowly, or just in bits and pieces, as opposed to like trying to speed read the last of it. And then I will try to finish it when I'm with Nevaeh. But I probably won't see you again until I am with Nevaeh, where she can maybe tell you what she's reading at the moment. And then we will be reading until we drop, basically. Actually, that's not entirely true. I do have plans tonight, so I can't hang out with her for like too long, but we're gonna be hanging out for a couple of hours minimum. But yeah, I am going to go make some food now and read a little bit of my book, and I guess I will see you in about an hour. So I am now here with Nevaeh. Hi! And we are about to head out to the coffee shop that I was talking about earlier to do some light reading. I read a couple more chapters, like I said that I would, while I was eating some lunch. And I am now on chapter 30, I believe, in my book, and there are like 38 plus an epilogue, so I guess 39. I'm very excited to see how my book ends. I'm really liking it. I hope it ends the way that I think it's gonna end, or at least like well. I hope that it ends well.
Don't get your hopes up.
Don't say that. Nevaeh, would you like to share what you're reading with the people?
Hey, if you've been following us, you know when I got this book.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. We are still probably a little under halfway through Haunting Adelaide.
Very much so under.
Yeah.
Wait, what chapter am I on? Wait, 14.
Slay.
But very excited. I finally got out of my reading slump recently.
Woo!
I mean, what was it? Last night I was on chapter 8.
Hey.
And I just like, as one does, gets lost in the book.
Right. But like I said, we're about to head out to the coffee shop. And we'll probably be there for a little bit. Not sure how long exactly, but I guess I will see you after that. I just dropped off Nevaeh at her house, and I am now heading home, and I have officially finished my favorite fall book that I have read so far this autumn season, which I guess isn't necessarily saying a lot since I haven't actually read that many, but at the same time it kind of is a big deal because I was really looking forward to and excited for all of these fall reads, and they were kind of letting me down. So the fact that this one was so good and that I loved it so much is like a huge win. I did end up giving it 5 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, which is exactly what I was looking for and exactly what I was kind of thinking would happen. And it didn't end exactly how I thought it might, but it was still a really good ending, and it had like the core parts of the ending that I wanted. So I'm really happy about that. And also, it helped me finish my 2025 Goodreads reading goal, which is awesome. My Goodreads goal was 40 total books, and Falling Like Leaves was my 40th book, which is so awesome that I got to like finish that challenge on a 5-star read. I love when that kind of stuff happens. This book hit a lot of my like favorite boxes for romance books, and I'm so happy that it did. It was so good and I enjoyed it so much. But with finishing that book, I think I am completely out of my reading slump. I am so motivated to read, so I am going to go ahead and end my video here. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!